For people who have an intimate connection with the New York skyline, the absence of the World Trade Center towers has overshadowed the last decade. Now, as the new towers begin to take shape, the skyline is new again.
Many people would say that the Twin Towers, the first World Trade Center, that anchored Manhattan. You could drive up from my hometown in Hamilton, drive up the New Jersey Turnpike, and you'd see the Twin Towers there anchoring the battery. When the terrorists destroyed these towers 10 years ago, that anchor was gone. One World Trade Center is becoming that new anchor of Lower Manhattan. So when you come up from Hamilton or you come up from anywhere else in my home state, you see One World Trade Center standing there as a true sign of the rebuilding of Lower Manhattan.
This is a massive project with some 3,400 workers working around the clock. Rebuilding the towers has brought jobs that were sorely needed, but it obviously means much more than that.
You know, I look at the buildings going up and all the workers who are having a hand in putting that building together and the buildings together, and makes you think that, you know, America does some things really well when we put our minds to it, you know. So I'm glad to be a small part of it.
It's pretty historic. This is going to be one of the great buildings in the city's history. And we're obviously too young for the Empire State Building or something like that, but this is our generation's version of that. It's our moment in history.
When it's complete, One World Trade will be the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere, 1,776 feet high. More than 80 floors are now complete, with glass encasing some 60 stories. Tower 4, on the other side of the site, has over 40 stories complete.
Eventually, when all of this construction is done, the towers are built, the transit hub is complete, the memorial is open, the museum has visitors. When all of that is done, this will be an open place in New York. People will be able to travel from around the world or anywhere in New Jersey or New York and come here and see what we've done.
At the center of this 16-acre site, the footprints of the original towers are still here. They're the site of 2 reflecting pools that make up the National 9/11 Memorial.
The name of the memorial is Reflecting Absence. All of us will reflect on it differently. You remember where you were when the planes hit those towers, and we all have a different version of that story.
I worked at 4 World Trade. I worked in the commodities exchange. So the Twin Towers was my backdrop for lunch every day. Never in a million years you would figure people would be jumping out and crashing into that very same plaza where I would eat my lunch at.
Well, you come in every morning, at least I do anyhow, and you say a little prayer before you come into work, and I know a lot of people said a lot of prayers that day before they came to work, and unfortunately they never made it home.
There's more than 1,000 victims of 9/11 who died here in New York, who no one has ever been able to find any remains. For their family members, for all of us, this is sacred ground.